What happens after your child quarrels with their sibling or friend? Do you make them apologize? Do you brush it off and move on to the next activity? There's a really important learning opportunity in those moments that you can take advantage of to create lasting sibling and friendship bonds. Today I'll introduce you to my acknowledge and amends technique to help friends or siblings mend their relationships after disagreements or fights. This technique offers so much more than a simple or forced apology. It helps to develop empathy and perspective taking while showing love and support for our siblings and friends. When sibling relationships or friendships are disrupted, a basic apology opens the door for lingering resentment that can build up, especially over years and years of sibling disagreements. My acknowledge and amends technique helps to build important social skills while also paving the way for lasting sibling and friendship bonds. Let's talk first about supporting imperfection. So your kids need to know that it's okay to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, especially not young children whose primary job is learning new things daily and whose emotion regulation skills are very slowly developing. We all have moments when we may say or do things that we regret. These moments do not make you a bad person or a naughty child. As frustrating as it can be when your children make mistakes, be sure that they understand that it's okay. This stems back to Carl Rogers' theory of unconditional positive regard. Our kids need to know that they will always be loved and valued regardless of what actions they take. You can disapprove of their specific behavior, but you always approve of them. Next, let's talk about starting to make amends. Keeping in mind that we support our children's imperfections, it is our job to teach them appropriate behavior, including kind and gentle interactions with friends and siblings. Our kids need to learn how to check in with their siblings or friends after a disagreement to begin mending the relationship. There's a lot of emphasis placed on the words "I'm sorry" in an apology, but I suggest using a different strategy called acknowledge and amends. In our family, your apology may or may not include the words "I'm sorry." Instead, the key elements are: first, acknowledge what happened and your role in the incident. For example, I should not have taken that toy when you were playing with it, or I should not have hit you when you called me a name. It's tough for your kids to take responsibility for their actions, regardless of their age, just as it's challenging for adults, but it's critical that they understand their role in the disagreement. Awareness is the first step in preventing future disagreements. The younger the child, the more support they'll need from you in identifying their role in the disagreement. You might say something like, "What happened to make Jimmy start crying? Did you say something or do something to him?" "Oh, you hit him?" "We don't hit people. We use gentle touch. Do you see how hitting him was a mistake that made him sad? Jimmy's our friend and we want him to be happy." This conversation should be done in a calm and caring way, focusing on teaching and not judging your child. You also want to be sure to validate the feelings that cause them to act that way. You might say, "What happened to make you so upset that you hit him?" "Oh, you really wanted that toy and he wasn't sharing." It's hard waiting for a toy, and that can be very upsetting, but still, we don't hit people. Next time, you might ask Jimmy if he could play with the toy for another minute and then offer you a turn. I always close out step one with a reminder of a better way to handle the problem if it comes up again in the future. For older kids who are well trained in the acknowledge and amends technique, you might need only to ask, "What was your role in the disagreement?" and you'll get a clear response. For example, yesterday my 10-year-old and 14-year-old had heated words, and when I went into the room to see what was going on, each of them could quickly relay the cause of the incident. One said, "He asked me to do something and I overreacted and yelled." When I queried if he had tried more gentle responses before yelling, he said he had tried several more gentle responses, but they hadn't worked, so he lost his cool. When I asked my other child about the incident, he said, "Yeah, I was badgering him," and understood that repetitive questioning had irritated his brother. Both age and practice help kids develop this sense of perspective and accountability. Once you've helped your child to identify the role in the disagreement, make sure that they articulate that to their sibling or friend. For example, "I should not have hit you to get the toy," or "I see how badgering made you get angry." That's key to step one. Acknowledge to the other person involved in the disagreement how your actions contributed to the incident. Now for step two, begin to make amends. Step one is essential for building empathy and social skills to improve future interactions between your children and their friends. but the kids involved may still feel hurt or wronged. Step 2 is all about showing the other person that you care enough about them to help try to make them feel better now and start down the road to recovery from this incident. This can be anything from offering a hug to inviting them to do a fun activity together. For older kids and more significant mistakes, this might involve offering to do a chore of theirs, or it could be to say 3 nice things about the person to make up for hurtful words. Kids can ask their siblings or friend what would make them feel better. A common response is to request that the other person states that they won't do that behavior ever again. Sometimes your child will know what would help them to start to feel better, and sometimes they just need a little more space before they're ready to move on. Just hearing the offer to help make amends goes a long way to repair the sibling or friendship relationship. Apologizing using my acknowledge and amends technique involves accepting responsibility for our actions, acknowledging the harm that we caused, and our commitment to making amends. By doing so, we open the door for healing and restoration in sibling and friendship relationships. This strategy helps reduce built-up resentment that can form between friends and especially between siblings who spend time together day after day, year after year. It's a key component to raising siblings who think of each other as friends throughout their lifetime. What a gift that relationship is for your children. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found some helpful tips in this video. If you have any experiences or suggestions you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. To dive deeper into the acknowledge and amends technique, check out my video on apologizing to your kids. Keep up the good work on your amazing parenting journey.